Hey there, this is Mubali. And you're used to seeing me do tips and tricks and production information in Ableton, but some of you might not know one of my first DAWs was Logic. I've been messing around with it recently just to see what was new and to see if it would give me some new ideas on advancing my workflow and maybe getting some new ideas out of it. Before I switched to writing in live exclusively, I was just starting to mess around with this feature a little bit, but I found it to be something that could be interesting. And if you guys didn't know about it, I figured I would show you real quick. It's I'm not going to show you the entire process, but I'll show you the important bits. What I mean by the entire process is I'm not going to show you how to create all the sounds to create this composite, but I'm going to show you how to create the composite once you have a bunch of sounds. So, to preface this, here's what's going on. I have recorded 4 sounds out of Alchemy. They're each 8 bars long. They're based on the same root note, but they are very different. And just to torture you for a second, we're going to play them all together. And they don't sound very good, but we're going to play them all together. So, if we stacked all 4 of those together, it would be a complete mess. But let's say that we like the sounds and we want to do some little cutting where we can have this sound play for a little while, then this sound will play for a little bit, and this sound will play for a little bit, and that sound will play for a little bit. We can totally do that. And then we could get started with micro editing and chopping up stuff like that if we really wanted to. But let's not do that. I'm going to show you a different way. And this way is super ninja. And the people who created this function probably didn't think of it being applied in this manner. But this is why us nerds are around, to think of new ways of doing things. I apologize for all the noise. It seems like there's fighter jets flying over my house. This happens from time to time. So I live near like a military base, a marine base. They're probably getting ready for an air show. Anyway, so we've got these 4 individual sounds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to right click, and I found this by going down into folder and use pack take folder. It's very important that you use pack take folder. So that creates individual takes. It's like you were doing a recording, and each time you recorded, you try to redo the part. And this is for assembling the best possible part from a combination of different recordings, or combinations of basically different instances of the same performance, different recordings of the same performance, or whatever. It's more like subsequent recordings of different performances done to nail the part. But I digress. What we're going to use it for is to create a composite idea that's 8 bars long, that is basically a sequence of one of these things at a time. Now, it doesn't do overlaps, so you can't like have more than one thing in this play at one time, but that's perfectly fine. You can always like do set up another channel to do something similar and layer those 2 together, or it's really you can take this process and completely turn it on its head. So as we have it, we have this. Okay, so you notice that when it's hovering over here, it's just moving this one way or the other. And then we get out here, you got this little change in the icon. And when you change this, it allows you to kind of paint in sections, and you see how these little crossfades come up. So it's crossfading in these different sections. So we can find little bits. And let's see. Right now I'm doing this very haphazardly. If you were really intent on getting some really cool micro edits, you would spend a little bit more time isolating some of the ideas that you want. But this is just a proof of concept. Now let's hear what we did. Okay, so we already know it's a little wonky, but we can fix that. We just, because we can always just redraw this stuff, move stuff around. Say we want this sound to be really the basis. So we make that the focal point, and then we do little cuts here. And I remember there's a way to set your cursor quantized to be a little more exact, but just for the sake of explanation, we're going to do this. Okay, so let's say you like that. That one's done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it and make a second variation. So now that I've copied it, what we'll do from here is, okay, what do we want to do? Okay, we click on that A. Interesting. Anyway, so we could duplicate it, flatten and merge. So this is If we flatten it, it's just going to keep the individual audio regions, which might be handy for certain things. But if we flatten and merge, we can, let's see what happens. Yep, it just converts it into one audio file. And so yeah, and so you can like turn around and, okay, this time we'll make this one the focal point for this particular thing. And I gotta remember how I can do my grid snapping. It's been so long since I've used Logic that I don't remember how to do anything anymore. So we'll have this, actually we'll have a response here. Have a section here. This time we're not going to use the bottom one at all, just to show you that it's possible. Okay, so we made that. Where's my little, I feel like I'm missing, I am missing something. Yep. Okay, now so I could rinse and repeat, or I could unpack those to new tracks or new track alternatives, which I haven't even explored new track alternatives yet. I'm just getting back into Logic just to check it out. I'm probably going to be working with some friends of mine that use Logic, so I wanted to make it easy to send stuff and work on the project. And this is very powerful software too. Don't get it twisted. Logic ain't nothing to Logic ain't nothing to sneeze at, especially when it comes to arrangement and mixing. But yeah, so this was just a little quick. Want to show you a quick way of making what we would call Hocket, and it's a good way to simulate Hocket by taking multiple different recordings of either the same thing or of different stuff. It just doesn't really matter as long as they're done in the same timing as far as like host tempo. And you can make interesting collage ideas out of that. And it's relatively quick. It's kind of intuitive, and you can have fun with that. So I hope you guys enjoy. Peace.